Welcome to Dialogues of Desire,
Non-monogamy unscripted.
the podcast where we're rewriting the rules of relationships.
So grab your intimacy and exploration passports and join us from the very beginning
As we embark on an unscripted, unfiltered journey
into the world of non-monogamy.
Welcome to Dialogues of Desire.
Non-monogamy unscripted.
I'm Britt,
And I'm Sophie.
and welcome back. Thank you for coming back and embarking on this journey with us.
Yeah, we've had fun and there's lots to talk about. But today we're talking about coming out.
Not our gay coming out, but how we came out as non-monogamous to our friends, family, and work colleagues.
Yeah.
Sophie obviously instigated our non-monogamous journey here, but how did your journey start?
Yeah, I guess it was when I was that first relationship that I had with the married couple. I don't think I'd thought about it too much before that, but I was kind of curious, and then I obviously had a non-monogamous relationship with them, and the few work colleagues that kind of used to go out with us, they knew and were really fine with it. It wasn't really a thing.
Did you tell them, or did they just kind of catch on?
Well, we had gone to a fetish club all together.
Yeah, like with your work colleagues.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
With some work colleagues.
Sick
we're
work.
friends. Yeah, exactly. It was really fun. And then obviously I was telling my friend just kind of how things were progressing with this woman and her husband. And yeah, she had kind of had her own experiences, so it was really nice to hear about those as well. So I didn't really feel uncomfortable with that. Because I was also in the lesbian or gay scene at the time as well, and even then there were a few people that were a bit nasty towards me, but a few people that were kind of on the outer circle.
Why? Because you're not like
Fully,
lesbian.
well, I think because I'm bisexual. I think bisexuality is such a huge...
They want you to pick a side.
Yeah. It's totally misunderstood, and there's still a lot of stigma around it.
Yeah.
And I think they might have had a bit of an issue with that. So we would go to some like queer nights, and I would bring the married couple, and we would all be, kissing, not like we're macking on, in front of everyone. Well, we are, but not like any more than any other couple.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I would get looks, but for majority of the time, my friends were very cool because I was cool with it. Yeah. I was like, these are the people that I'm dating. Yeah, this is my normal, and I was very unapologetic about it.
Yeah, awesome.
But hearing about those other people from the outer circle that were giving me looks and talking about me, I was like, that's a bit crappy, but that's their own, I guess, judgments. And I think the fact that I am bisexual probably played a big part of that in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of family, once that relationship ended, I was devastated. And
did they know about that relationship before it ended?
Well, so what happened was my mum and I used to work together, and I was just being a horrible, horrible, angry, sad, frustrated, devastated, broken-hearted person. And we were at lunch one day. I remember it very vividly. We were at lunch one day, and she's like, Sophie, what the fuck? What's wrong?
Yeah.
And I was like, I was actually dating this couple that you used to drop me off at and pick me up from, and I was spending all my time with, was actually dating. And she said, I know, I knew that already. And I was like, fuck. They say that parents know everything, especially mothers.
Yeah, they had that intuition.
Yeah. And I'm like, it felt like a burden had been lifted. I was like, what the hell? Of course she knew. And she was fine. She was just more worried about how I was feeling. And yeah, she was all there for me through that time, and she knows how much I did care for them and wasn't judgmental of that. She might not have understood it, but she didn't judge me because she knew that I was happy at the time and whatever. And then I guess it's not really come up over the years. It was just kind of in monogamous type things with other people. And just before I met you, I started to say to my mum, it was almost like I was coming out as poly. I was like, do you know what? I reckon the way to go is possibly dating multiple people. Mm-hmm. And for me, my reasoning at the time was I want not a lot, but I have certain things that I want, and as we always say, not one person can fulfill all that. So
Correct.
I was like, I reckon that could work for me, and I wouldn't feel so trapped or so constrained, or as if
Well, you don't
this
have to
one
put the
person has to be
pressure
everything.
on,
Yeah,
on either on the
correct.
one person, and that person doesn't have the pressure as well, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I reckon that would be great for me because because it would kind of come from going on dates with people and being like, they're awesome, but there's just something missing,
Yeah.
you know? And I could have probably dated many of them, but there was something missing. And I think that was the internal, I didn't realize at that time that not one person fulfills every single need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
How did your mum, like, when you were, like, having that conversation with her, like, what did she say to you? Did she was always going to be supportive, but was she give you any wise words of wisdom?
no, I think she was just really just meeting me where I was at and
Yeah.
being extremely heartbroken.
Why was she heartbroken?
No, me being
Oh,
heartbroken.
you being heartbroken,
Yeah. Watching me be heartbroken.
Yeah.
And it was hard at the time because their friends, the couple's friends, were messaging me saying, you know, you're going out partying and they're devastated. And I was
Yeah.
like, bro, I'm
two of
going
them
out with
and,
my
like,
friends
yeah.
because I've lost, they've got each
Two
other.
people.
Correct. They are still at least in a relationship.
Yeah.
I'm completely on the outer straight away. It was like a cutoff.
Yeah.
So I was going to go out with my friends to try and
you fill that void.
better. Yeah, that's right. Because
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And in terms of, I guess, friends, just generally not in the queer scene, they've always known about that couple, and but obviously since I've met you, they know that I am non-monogamous, and we've spoken about that. And a lot of them are just curious. I think it's interesting. Quite a few people feel like they would want to explore it, but they just don't know how to start those conversations, or they've started those conversations but don't know how to
Navigate it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why we're here, to help you guys.
That's right. Through our own experiences and fuck-ups, which I think we've done pretty well. But I mean,
just, like, help you, like, have conversations and be able to talk about it with your partner and just figure out what to even say without hurting them. But make sure you're honest from the start, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to a friend just yesterday, actually, and he's met somebody and the topic of non-monogamy has come up 2 months into the relationship. And it's just interesting. It's like kind of the conversation that we were starting to have. We had
it on day one.
Yeah, because I was very open at that point.
If you think that you might be into it, or even if don't close anything off. Don't have the door slightly ajar.
Yeah, I think, you have to be upfront.
And be telling the other person that it is closed.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, the default in life or in relationships is monogamy at this point in time. That is always
that's because we've been told that,
Yeah, I totally agree. But there is always that assumption there. So I think eventually with time it'll change. You're dating me, who is non-monogamous, but you're currently not interested in non-monogamy as such. You identify as monogamous?
At the present time, I would say that I am in a monogamous relationship with you. However, if I was defining our relationship, I would say that we're in a non-monogamous relationship because that's what you're participating in, even though I am
I totally agree.
Solely with you.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think it's actually really important to name that, because whilst you might not identify yourself as that as such, you are in that sort of relationship.
Correct.
And going through the crap that, some serious emotional stuff that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's crap, but.
No, but,
I know what you mean. I'm experiencing it all.
Yeah, you are, and I think it would be even harder for you personally, but in terms of.
I think it's hard on both, though.
It is.
Yeah.
I think even coming out to you as such, when you meet somebody that you really like.
Were you nervous to come out to me?
I don't know. I think about at that point I was like, I've got nothing to lose. I was seeing somebody at the time as well, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Maybe it was just like, I'm seeing someone, but I also want to see you. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I think what it was is I
Putting your
didn't want
cards
to, whilst I didn't owe you that sort of information, I kind of thought it was necessary to tell you, look, I am actually seeing somebody else.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be upfront because I really did like you. And I was like, look, I'm not going to drag it out, get feelings, and then hurt you, but also, well, hurt myself, but also hurt you because of that assumption of monogamy when you first meet somebody.
Yeah.
And I really just thought, I have nothing to lose. I've met so many different people.
I don't know this person.
Mm-hmm. And you're,
Well, even though I was the drunk one when we met.
Yeah, I was completely sober.
You were sober because you were driving me home. Through charm and wit. Yeah, like you told me that. And so when we went on our first date and you said, look, I'm seeing someone and I kind of want to be in a non-monogamous relationship in the future kind of thing, I kind of already had heard that on that night. So that wasn't completely like...
Surprised you remember. I don't even remember. Yeah. It wasn't a shock. It wasn't a shock to you.
Correct. It wasn't a shock. And like I went home and did think about what that meant and everything. But I've weighed it up, and if I can have a part of you, then that's enough for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. Don't want to miss out.
On this. No, that's lovely. That's sweet. And I think for me personally, it made me more attracted to you because you were at least open to hearing it and, you know, being with somebody that may be that way.
Yeah.
Even if you don't completely understand what it entails for me or just in general.
Yeah. Well, I've tried to do some.
Oh, now
but
you have, yeah. But at the time,
but
you're
even
just like,
still, like I still won't know what it entails for me and you completely until we experience different things.
Yeah, that's right, totally. As we've said, like our boundaries will shift and change and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So in terms of at least coming out as being in a relationship, I mean, since starting this podcast, obviously you've started to tell people about it. What have their reactions been?
Yeah, so, well, I've got two brothers. One of them was like, tell me more, super interested, wants to learn and be educated on it as well. The other one, super supportive as well and just kind of being like, cool, whatever works for you. It didn't really bother them. Mum was intrigued, had a few questions, but in the end just kind of goes, cool, if that works for you. Oh, I just want you guys to be happy, and wanted to know that it was my decision and I'm not just going along with it because like I'm in love and I've got like blinkers on and
rose-coloured glasses.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, don't do anything that's just Sophie's putting this out. Like if you want to do it, fine, but if you don't, then speak up.
Absolutely.
And I definitely feel like we have that relationship which if I did have an issue or something, I could come to you and speak up about it. So
yeah, I think we've built that foundation for that discussion. But totally valid what your mum has said. Like you really don't want to just be in something because you're scared of losing the other person.
But yeah, and then so Dad has probably had the biggest issue about it.
But it was also the way I wish I wasn't there.
When it happened.
Because I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're out for dinner or lunch with my dad and his partner. And he randomly is just brought up, so you're starting a podcast. And we're like, oh, someone's been either stalking my Instagram or talking to the boys and Mum.
Yeah.
Not that I'm hiding it at all, but I knew that he wouldn't understand. So, but he asked some questions. What is it about? Oh, non-monogamy. And he, A, couldn't say it, but B, didn't know what it was.
But neither could you.
But yeah, so...
Oh, just you wanted, what is it?
Yeah, what does it entail?
Yeah.
he did also, he was pretty, like, nonchalant about it at the restaurant. And Sophie was there, obviously. And then I could tell that he had questions running on his mind so bad. And so I was like, do you have any questions to ask, Dad? And he was like, nah, just as long as you're happy.
And he was like,
Yeah, and then, like, a week later, he was like, I get a call from Mum being like, your dad's, and, like, my parents aren't together, so the fact that he's calling my mum, she probably thought there was, like, some sort of
emergency.
Trauma or something's happened to me or something's gone bad. And, just been like, I'm worried about Britt. What's this thing with her and Sophie? Like, their relationship's not good.
Not good.
Not good, like in trouble kind of thing. Like, the only reason you do this is because you're not happy in a relationship. And I'm like, that's just classic. Well, when somebody else is, when, like, he's been obviously unhappy in a relationship and then he's, like, seeking other things elsewhere, which is exactly what happened in his relationship.
Yeah.
Where we don't have trouble on the blocks and we're not looking for something else.
No, that's right.
We just want to be fulfilled in other areas.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you do anyway.
Yeah.
So, so talking to him, and asking those questions, was interesting, but I knew that they were coming.
Yeah. And look, I totally understand it as well. Like, I at the restaurant, I was dying internally.
Were you?
Oh, I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was so uncomfortable because I was just like, because I firstly I wanted you to be able to have a real conversation with him without me there.
Yeah.
Like, not trying to be like, oh. And if he really did think fuck and wasn't, he wanted to make sure you were okay, which is again probably why he spoke to your mum about it and all that sort of stuff. Because I didn't know what to say. I felt like I was doing something bad. Like, sorry. I just want to fuck other people as well. You know how it is. I don't know. And I guess you don't want somebody to judge you or think that you don't think their beautiful daughter is amazing. Because obviously I do think that you are amazing and you are enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you navigated that conversation. I was just like, I'm going to eat my Korean barbecue.
Well, what did he say? He was like, do I have to learn anyone else's name?
Oh, yeah.
It's okay, Dad. I'm not.
Yeah.
All you need to learn is Sophie's name. I won't be, participating. But, yeah.
Well, at this
stage, I don't. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Don't close the door.
I mean, it's up to you, but yeah.
The door might be open. It's ajar at the moment.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No, that was very interesting. But, yeah, I'm glad he did reach out in some capacity just because he was probably just looking out for you.
Yeah.
As well. And even if he doesn't agree with it as such, at least he's not, kind of being like, well, I hope he's not saying that fucking get rid of Sophie.
No.
But you're also your own person.
That's what worried them was the fact that they actually like you and they're like, oh gosh.
Fuck. No.
Fucking hell. I'm going to have to meet more people. What haven't I done?
No.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it and I totally respect that. And
yeah.
Yeah. But it's definitely a form of coming out even for you because...
Yeah, and people, like, for instance, at work, I've told people that we're starting a podcast and that I'm in a non-monogamous relationship. And then when they've asked more about it, I've kind of dived into what that entails. And heaps of people are, like, super keen to listen to this, to be educated more on what it is and... and like hear our story and just know a bit more because they just didn't know it about it. And I'm like, bloody hell, like it's out there already.
Yeah, that's right.
But I guess when people aren't seeking that information, they just are so oblivious to what it actually entails and, that you can actually be happy.
Yeah.
And
well, they think it's just like a swingers thing. It's like for all the over 50s that are just swinging... couple swapping.
Or you're unhappy in a relationship and you just want to fuck somebody else, where that's not the case.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very just old school thinking.
Yeah.
Swingers are over there and you don't really hear about it in the real world, especially not in the workplace.
Yeah.
So I guess in terms of coming out, I can't really give advice because for the most part I was just...
You can.
Well, yeah, but I guess I was just like myself and I've always just been myself.
Yeah, but I guess comparing, say, our coming out to some of, like, your friend, say, like, if you're thinking about it or you've been in a previous relationship or you think that it might be on the cards, whether you've done it or not, like, be open early so the other person knows.
Yeah.
They can do their research if they haven't done it before and be formally have like all the information there to make a consenting decision to be with whether they want to pursue a relationship with them.
Yeah,
so
I
obviously
agree.
I had all the information about you and you were an amazing person, but you told me early enough, so that's props to you as well.
Yeah.
You didn't hide it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then make me fall in love with you and then be like, hey.
Maybe.
But at the same time, like, people could be in a relationship and be in love for 5 years and then decide that, hey, you're still amazing, I'm still in love with you, but there's this person or there's this kink that I want to explore, like, and I don't want to, like, force you. It's nothing to do with that person. And hopefully you have that foundation where you can be open and you can be safe in, like, saying what you want to say and tell them when you know. Don't hide it because it's shit on you and it will be harder on that other
100%.
person. So
yeah, look, in terms of coming out, I agree with you to a person that you're dating. I think the earlier the better, personally.
yeah,
Especially like we were talking about in the dating apps thing. I didn't want to start talking to people and then have to have that conversation. But so do it early in a space that is appropriate to you and what feels safe, and if the other person has a capacity as well. But also when you open that dialogue, keep it open. So you might ask them, I might say, this is what I'm thinking. I want to, for example, just say an open relationship. And you might say, oh, okay, cool, I might be into that. And then you might go home and be like, hang on, what type?
yeah,
You know, you have to be open to having a open dialogue, and you could have 50 conversations, you know, about clarifying. So what do you mean by open? Can we do this? Can we do that? Or not can we?
Well,
This
like
is what I want.
when we started, like, you told me that, like, I was then listening to a podcast and trying to figure out, and I came back to you being like, what do you, when you say you're non-monogamous, do you want like an open relationship or do you want another relationship with somebody else? Like, I came back with different questions. So yeah.
Maybe I didn't specify
You
exactly.
didn't really, because you were like, I don't know what that is.
Which
and
is
that's
true.
okay as well, but
Which is true. That's okay to not know, but give your scope of what you think at the moment you would be willing to do.
Yeah.
So if you could be polyamorous, if you could actually love somebody else and you know that you could possibly do that, in my opinion, say that out front. At the moment, I might just want to fuck around, whatever, but I think I actually could be open to that. If you can and have that space to do it, because otherwise, if that comes up later on, it can just be difficult. I feel like you need to do that self-reflection. If you're going to put something on somebody, give them as much information as you can in the beginning.
That's so true.
There will be times that you may not even know that and it can come up, and that's fine too. But if you know it now, don't give dribs and drabs, or don't tell somebody what you think they want to hear.
Yep.
To ensure that they, are still with you. I'm not going to tell you about the poly stuff.
Yeah.
But I know that you'd be okay with me fucking somebody else.
Or don't, if you're the other person as well, don't like say that you're happy with it if you're not, kind of thing.
Definitely.
Like, don't be going along with it just because you want to keep that person, because you're just going to get hurt.
Absolutely, 100%.
Like, be honest about how you're feeling, whether you feel like you can be in a relationship with that person, or if not.
That's right.
Because they might then also, if you don't want to be in a non-monogamous, maybe they might, I don't know, rethink what they want or how they go about different things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that that shouldn't be the expectation.
No.
But they may feel that way.
Yeah. Everyone be honest and open.
So I think the main takeaways are, if you can, be upfront. With how, if you're the non-monogamous person, what your scope is. So the full breadth of what you think that you could be open to. Allow the other person to respond, but also be open to them asking questions, a week, a month, a few months from then. And they may need clarification on things, and don't be frustrated with that. And I guess try and make the decisions early as to whether the relationship or the dynamic will work.
Yeah.
And the person who is non-monogamous, if the other person is non-monogamous, really be true to themselves and not cave into something because they just want to be with that person. Because ultimately, if you're not on the same page in some way, then there will be hurt. And there's a difference between, navigating jealousy and just stuff that comes up in non-monogamy and really being hurt and feeling betrayed.
Yeah.
If you think that you will feel betrayed, then it's probably not worth getting into. And then obviously you're working through your own emotions with that.
Yeah. Know what you want before you go into this conversation as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Be real. The person who wants to bring up the conversation, know as much as you can.
Yeah.
You may not know it all, but be clear.
Thanks for listening, guys. As always, you can follow us here on Instagram.
And if you have any questions for us, any comments, hopefully nice comments, but willing to be challenged on anything we've said, then DM us there and we will chat about it next time.
Yeah. Tune in for our next step.
Bye. It's a bit dark. Are you trying to make bloopers? All right.
Part of our merch, little vagina ring.
Little vagina. I'm just on some little vagina rings.
The child is in bed.
The child will probably end up
Going.
waking up and coming up here. Oh, gee. Are we recording, darling?
Are we recording?
Are we recording, darling?
Sorry.
Right. No, just next time, don't worry about it.
Oh, fuck.
Just fucking
Don't
call
change too much.
Call for help. Fucking hell. Right. Opie. Little chicken. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're saying don't change position too much. I was like, I won't change, baby. I don't need to. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Dialogues of Desire.
We hope you've enjoyed the conversation and maybe even learned something new.
If you loved what you heard or we've piqued your curiosity, make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
We'll be sharing the latest and greatest content there, so you don't want to miss out.
And don't keep all this juicy goodness to yourself. Share our podcast with friends, family, or anyone you think might enjoy listening.
The more the merrier, right? Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep those conversations flowing. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are recording, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging.
We recognise their continuing connection to land, waters, and culture, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. We extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. The views discussed in this podcast are our own and are evolving with our continuing experiences and ongoing knowledge.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not replace the advice of a health professional.